Namaskar, good evening viewers. It's 9 p.m. and you're watching the news on Sansad TV with me, Rajiv Kumar Singh. Over the next half an hour, we will get you the news on all important that has happened in the nation and across the globe. First up, the headlines at this hour. Projects worth 2 lakh crore rupees being implemented under Sagarmala. Home Minister Amir Shah addresses Southern Zonal Council meet. 26 issues including reorganization of Andhra Pradesh discussed. National Green Tribunal slaps a fine of rupees 3,500 crore on West Bengal government. Action for huge gap in waste management. Need to make educational institutions future-ready, says President Draupadi Murmu in her address at IIT Delhi, asserts that India has a great talent pool which is yet to be fully tapped. India's merchandise exports crossed $192 billion in April to August period, an increase of over 17% over same period last year. 25% growth in services exports recorded in April to July 2022. Fuel leak disrupts NASA's second attempt to launch moon rocket Artemis. Liftoff was scheduled for around midnight today. Earlier on Monday, the launch was halted due to technical issues. A quick look now at some more important news. Not possible for government or NGOs alone to convince people for organ donation, says Health Minister. Emphasizes on Jan Bhagidari to encourage people. Supreme Court will dispose of as much as you are capable to bring. CJI UU Lalit's message to lawyers after SC disposes of 1,293 miscellaneous matters in 4 days. Nomination for the 2023 Padma Awards open till 15th September. Home Ministry says nominations and recommendations will be received online only on the Rashtriya Puraskar portal. India's first ever night sky sanctuary to come up in Ladakh within 3 months. Project undertaken by Department of Science and Technology. Every sector related to growth engine of the country running at full capacity, says Prime Minister Modi. Stresses government ensuring financially weak are not neglected. Supreme Court Judge D.Y. Chandrachud nominated as Executive Chairman of National Legal Services Authority. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan calls for strengthening cooperation in education and skilling with Indonesia and Australia. Railways Ministry shares photos of the proposed redevelopment New Delhi Railway Station. Futuristic dome-shaped design attracts mixed reactions. US surface drones seized from Red Sea, says Iran. Country's navy took control to prevent an accident, states Iranian media. NASA's James Webb Telescope captures a first image of a planet outside Milky Way. Astronomers hail device's performance. News now in detail. Projects worth rupees 2 lakh crore being implemented under the Sagarmala scheme for coastal states. Union Minister Amir Shah said today while addressing the 30th Southern Zonal Council meeting in Thiruvananthapuram. He said that the nature of the zonal councils has changed in the last 8 years under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He also said that the number of meetings held by the councils has increased significantly. A total of 26 issues were discussed in the 30th Southern Zonal Council meeting, in which 9 issues were resolved. 17 issues were reserved for further consideration, out of which 9 issues are related to the reorganization of Andhra Pradesh. The Home Minister urged Andhra Pradesh and Telangana to mutually resolve their pending issues. He also urged southern states to explore joint solution for river water sharing issues. President Draupadi Murmu addressed the Diamond Jubilee celebrations of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi today. President Murmu said that IITs prove to the world the capability of India in the domains of education and technology. She said that IITs have contributed immensely to India's improved standing on the global stage today. She also stressed on the need to make educational institutions future-ready, calling IITs the country's pride. Murmu said that their story is the story of independent India.
Multidisciplinary approach is well aligned with the new national education policy. The IIT Delhi in particular has upheld high standards of teaching and research. Your faculty members are known for cutting-edge scientific research and technology development too, apart from contributions to society.
India's merchandise export in April to August period of the current fiscal year stood at $192.59 billion. This is an increase of over 17% over $164.44 billion exports in April to August 2021-22. The export of non-petroleum and non-gems and jewelry in April-August 22-23 was $135.49 billion, an increase of 8.4% from April to July 21-22. India has achieved merchandise export of $33 billion in August 22, almost at similar levels of $33.38 billion in August 2021. Services exports have also registered 25% growth in 4 months up to July 22. India has surpassed the United Kingdom to become the world's 5th biggest economy, Bloomberg has reported. India pushed the United Kingdom to the 6th spot in the last 3 months of 2021 and extended its lead in the first quarter of this year. The calculations were made by Bloomberg based on International Monetary Fund data on gross domestic product figures and exchange rates. Meanwhile, the Indian economy is forecast to grow more than 7% this year. On an adjusted basis and using the dollar exchange rate on the last day of the relevant quarter, the size of the Indian economy in nominal cash terms in the quarter through March was $854.7 billion. On the same basis, the UK was $816 billion. The National Green Tribunal has imposed a penalty of Rs 3,500 crore on the West Bengal government for a huge gap in waste management. The Green Panel said the state government has not prioritized setting up of sewage and solid waste management facilities. It said that according to the state's budget for 2022-23, there is a provision of Rs 12,818.99 crore on urban development and municipal affairs. The NGT noted that out of 2,758 million litres per day of sewage generation in urban areas, only 1,268 MLDEs reported to be treated. It added that if violations continue, liability to pay additional compensation may have to be considered. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has departed from Mexico after a highly productive visit. He unveiled a statue of Swami Vivekananda in Mexico. He said that this was the first statue of Swami Vivekananda in Latin America. He said that the statue will be a source of inspiration for people, especially for the youth. He also thanked the Mexican Parliament and government for their commitment to strengthening ties with India. Now, let's take a look at news from across the nation. Union Home Minister Amit Shah met and honored the medal winners and participants of Commonwealth Games 2022 in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala today. Niti Aayog report says number of women delivering in institutional facilities in the country during October to December 2020 decreased compared to the pre-COVID period a year earlier. 7,219 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours. The number of patients under treatment has come down to 56,745. Time now for a short break. On the other side, Russia bids farewell to the last Soviet leader, Gorbachev, in a funeral ceremony at the iconic Hall of Columns.
India became free 75 years ago. We all know we have fundamental rights, but we also know we have fundamental duties. The duty towards our nation to defend our country, our Bharat, and render national service in any way when called upon to do so. देश की रक्षा करें और आह्वान किए जाने पर राष्ट्र की सेवा करें. जय हिंद.
Welcome back to the news. Time now for all the big development from Russia-Ukraine war front that has now entered the 7th month. Situation remains tense at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant caught in the middle of the war in Ukraine. The plant was once again knocked offline in the early hours on Saturday as shelling deep into the plant's premises destroyed a key power line. The shelling comes just a day after a team of UN nuclear inspectors visited the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.
Physical integrity of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear facility has been violated not once but several times. The chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi's statement on Friday has sent alarm bells ringing. He said that he will issue a report on the safety of the Russian-held nuclear power plant in battleground Ukraine early next week.
Here is a red. It is a big red. Why is it a big red? It's because there's still we have been seeing military activity around the plant, and I was able to see myself and my team impact holes. Markings on buildings of shelling. So which means that the physical integrity of the facility has been violated not once but several times. And this is something irrespective of the kinetic power of whatever you are throwing at the plant is unacceptable in any way, under any safety and security criteria.
A team of IAEA inspectors had visited the nuclear facility on Thursday, passing through an active war zone. Addressing a news conference in Vienna after his return, Grossi said 6 IAEA members remained at the Zaporizhzhia plant to continue with the assessment. 2 of them would continue to stay there after next week. He also clarified that IAEA was not manipulated in their investigation by any side. Grossi will give the UN Security Council a briefing on Tuesday. Meanwhile, fear of a nuclear catastrophe looms large over areas close to the Zaporizhzhia plant. The residents of the Zoria, a small village about 20 kilometers from the nuclear plant, are living in constant fear of a leak in the plant. As a precaution, authorities have distributed iodine pills and masks to the residents of the area near the plant. Both Russia and Ukraine have blamed each other for repeated incidents of shelling near Europe's biggest nuclear power plant, which is controlled by Russia but operated by Ukrainian workers. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Russian rockets struck the city of Kramatorsk late on Friday. Donetsk region governor said the attack destroyed a wholesale market and 9 cars, leaving 1 person wounded. Ukraine said in August that it aims to evacuate 2/3 of residents from areas in its control in the eastern battleground region of Donetsk as well as other frontline areas before winter. U.S. President Joe Biden is requesting $11.7 billion of emergency fund from the Congress as a security and economic assistance to Ukraine. The White House said that 3/4 of a direct military and budgetary support that Congress previously provided for Ukraine has been disbursed or committed. Biden will also apply for another $20 billion to address the effects of the domestic energy supply caused by the Ukraine crisis. Russia's energy giant Gazprom said the company's natural gas production and export have both seen major reduction in the first 8 months of this year. The company said that natural gas production in the January to August period totaled 288.1 billion cubic meters, down 14.6% year-on-year. Meanwhile, the gas export to non-Commonwealth of Independent States countries also went down 37.4% in the past 8 months. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has hailed the decision by the finance ministers of G7 nations to impose a price cap on Russian oil. The move is aimed at slashing revenues for Moscow's war in Ukraine while keeping oil flowing to avoid price spikes. He also called the putting a cap on price of Russian gas. He also thanked European Union Chief Ursula von der Leyen for mentioning the same. The Kremlin responded to G7 statement by saying that it would stop selling oil to countries implementing the price cap, saying it would destabilize global oil markets. Time now for some other global updates. Russians on Saturday bid farewell to former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, who died earlier in the week at the age of 91. He has been laid to rest at Moscow's Novodevich Cemetery next to his wife Raisa in a relatively low-key ceremony.
Hundreds gathered to pay their last respects to the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, in a funeral ceremony held at Moscow's Hall of Columns. Gorbachev's daughter, Irina, and his 2 granddaughters sat beside the casket as mourners passed by Gorbachev's open casket, flanked by honorary guards, and laid flowers. The iconic mansion near the Kremlin in Moscow has hosted state funerals for Soviet leaders like Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev also paid his respects to the former Soviet leader. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban also attended a memorial event. Russian President Vladimir Putin, though, will not attend the funeral ceremony. The Kremlin said the president's busy schedule was preventing him from attending the funeral. Earlier on Thursday, he privately laid flowers at Gorbachev's coffin at a Moscow hospital where he passed away 2 days earlier. Despite the choice of the prestigious site for the farewell ceremony, the Kremlin stopped short of calling it a state funeral. After the ceremony, his coffin was taken from the house to Moscow's Novodevichy Cemetery, where he is being laid to rest next to his wife, Raisa. While venerated worldwide for ending the Cold War, Gorbachev was blamed in his home country for the Soviet collapse and the ensuing economic meltdown. Putin had also blamed Gorbachev for the demise of the USSR, which he called the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
NASA's second attempt in a week to launch moon rocket Artemis 1 was disrupted today due to fuel leak. The launch was scheduled for 11:47 p.m. The launch team began loading nearly 1 million gallons of fuel into the 98-meter rocket, the most powerful ever built by NASA. However, an overpressure alarm sounded and the tanking operation was briefly halted. No damage occurred and the effort resumed, but minutes later, hydrogen fuel began leaking from the engine section at the bottom of the rocket. NASA's first Artemis launch attempted on 29th of August had met with failure due to a bad engine sensor and leaking fuel. Scientists are trying to help people reach a goal humans have been chasing throughout history, staying active and healthy in old age. Their research focuses on what are called zombie cells that are not quite dead but harm normal cells. The question is there a way to tackle them?
In the 1960s, Leonard Hayflick made an accidental discovery that challenged the widely accepted notion that normal cells could replicate endlessly.
After about 50 population doublings of the original cells, I noticed that the cells stopped dividing.
Eventually, they enter a senescent state in response to various forms of damage. The body removes most of them, but others linger like zombies, not quite dead and harming normal cells nearby. They accumulate in older bodies, and mounting evidence links this to an array of age-related conditions like dementia, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis. Research offers tantalizing clues that people may be able to help tame senescence themselves with proper exercise. That's what people like Richard Soller do. Soller says he fell into an unhealthy lifestyle in early adulthood, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. But when his daughter Mary came along, he and his wife Jean quit cold turkey. He started running again just before turning 50 and has since then competed in races across North America, including 2 marathons. In May, Soller joined 12,000 like-minded athletes in Fort Lauderdale for the latest National Senior Games, winning 5 medals to add to his collection of 1,500 prizes. Soller says exercise keeps him fit enough to handle whatever comes his way. That is a Soller plan.
Keep moving. That's my motto. I think you can have a healthy lifespan right up until the very end.
Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Now let's take a look at some more stories from around the globe. Former Sri Lanka President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has returned to Colombo from Bangkok after 7 weeks. He had fled the island nation in mid-July when the protesters had stormed the presidential palace, thus displaying anger over the country's worst ever economic crisis. On July 13, the ousted leader, his wife and 2 bodyguards left aboard an Air Force plane for the Maldives before traveling to Singapore, from where he officially resigned. The Biden administration is set to announce a more than $1 billion arms sale to Taiwan as US-China tensions escalate over the status of the island. The sale includes $355 million for Harpoon air-to-sea missiles and $85 million for Sidewinder air-to-air missiles. American officials said that the largest portion of the sale, however, is a $655 million logistics support package for Taiwan's surveillance radar program, which provides air defense warnings. Pakistani authorities on Friday warned people in devastated southern Sindh province to move to safer places before more floodwater from the swollen Indus River is expected to hit the region this week. The death toll from the flooding surged past 1,200, officials said, with families and children at special risk of disease and homelessness. A new strain of monkeypox has been identified in the United Kingdom. The country's health authorities said British health authorities confirmed that an individual has been diagnosed with monkeypox linked to recent travel to West Africa. The Chinese tech hub of Shenzhen on Saturday shut parts of the city and public transport as the cities across China battle COVID-19 outbreaks that have dampened the outlook for economic recovery. Residents in 6 areas that comprise the majority of the city's almost 18 million residents were required to be tested twice for COVID-19 as subway and bus services were suspended. Time now for all the sporting action. 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams staved off 5 match points but could do no more and was eliminated from the US Open in the 3rd round by Ajla Tomljanovic 7-5, 6-7, 6-1 in what is expected to be her final contest. 3 times Grand Slam champion Andy Murray too has bowed out of the US Open with a 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-3 loss against 2021 Wimbledon finalist Matteo Berrettini. Defending champion Daniil Medvedev ended the dream of US Open run of the China's Wu Yibing to set up a blockbuster clash with Nick Kyrgios. Medvedev eased past Wu 6-4, 6-2, 6-2. Pakistan have made it to the Super 4 of Asia Cup, beating minnows Hong Kong by a massive 155 runs in their last group match. Pakistan will clash with arch rivals India on Sunday in the first Super 4 match for both the teams. Ryan Burl had remarkable figures of 5-4-10 as Zimbabwe defeated Australia in Australia for the first time in the 3rd ODI played at Townsville. Australia were all out for 141. Zimbabwe won with 3 wickets in hand. Brian Lara has replaced Tom Moody as the head coach of the IPL franchise team Sunrisers Hyderabad for the 2023 IPL season. This will be the 53-year-old Lara's maiden assignment as a head coach of a T20 team. That's all in the news bulletin tonight. Keep watching Sansad TV for more updates. Good night.
नमस्कार, स्वागत है आप सभी का।